Nityanandam. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. And sharing about the experience that about the presentation that KAILASA did at the United Nations in Geneva. So on February 22 of this month, KAILASA, the United Nations in Geneva, had a massive representation of women from KAILASA. And the 84th session of the United Nations of the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women was held. And on a discussion on equal and inclusive representation of women in decision-making systems within the framework of the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And the purpose of this general discussion was to prepare an elaborate report that is going to be shared with all the countries across the globe, and sharing with them solutions on how women equality can be given, inclusiveness can be given to women so that they have equal representation in decision-making systems. So the discussion was aimed to provide guidance to state parties and on measures they should adopt to ensure full compliance with their obligations to respect, protect, and fulfill women's human rights to equal and inclusive representation in the decision-making systems. So February 22nd at the United Nations in Geneva became the site of a powerful call to action for the protection and empowerment of women around the globe. Female parliamentarians gathered to discuss the troubling statistics surrounding the gender-based violence and discrimination. And shockingly, if you don't know, even today, there are 80% of women parliamentarians from 5 regions that experience some sort of psychological violence, including sexist or humiliating gestures, images, or remarks, etc. So on this day, the women of KAILASA participated in the general discussion, and so they came forth to speak out against the persecution, against the treatment that women are being given, and especially against the persecution of Hindu women. Yes. So first, yes. So at the United Nations, the women of KAILASA first offered worship to the deities of Paramashiva and Parashakti, and as well as to the deity of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, who graced the conference hall. And the women of KAILASA, yes, so and the women of KAILASA took the blessings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism before commencing the 84th session of the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. And the KAILASA delegation at the conference included myself, permanent ambassador to the United Nations, as well as other women leaders of KAILASA, such as the head of KAILASA Los Angeles, Ma Muktika Ananda, the head of KAILASA St. Louis, Ma Suna Kamat, the head of KAILASA UK, Ma Nitya Atmadayaki, and the head of KAILASA France, Ma Venkateshananda, and also the head of KAILASA Slovenia, Ma Priya Prema Nithyananda. So there were many states and as well as many civil societies who shared about how women, how equality, how inclusiveness can be given to women. And KAILASA also shared a message from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism on the contributions of KAILASA and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from the context of the Vedas and Agamas, the age-old sciences of Hinduism. Yes, and in fact, just to set the context, so in the United States of KAILASA, the national deity of Paramashiva, the national deity is Paramashiva and Parashakti. And so the installation of Paramashiva and Parashakti sitting on the lap of Paramashiva, was installed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself with the intention of promoting equal treatment of women and to prevent them from being subjected to violence or fear. So KAILASA considers misogyny and objectification of women to be a national crime. So KAILASA is the first sovereign state for Hindus, revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And KAILASA's policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra that are creating the safest workplace and ecosystem for women, so that women have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment and exploitation. Yes, so KAILASA also has fostered an environment that naturally allows women to develop into leaders, and as a result, women hold 80% of leadership positions in KAILASA. And while KAILASA's policies stipulates that 33% of the legislative positions should be held by women, currently women make up to 90% of the governance in KAILASA. And actually, this is unique only to KAILASA. See, when we were, engaging with the statesmen, the delegation at the conference, and we were sharing with them how in KAILASA, 80% of leadership positions are held by women, and more than 90% of the governance in KAILASA are held by women. They were all very impressed, and they all wanted to know more. What is the success? What are the policies that were set in place for KAILASA, for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to make this happen? Because this discussion, this whole conference was organized with the purpose of where all the countries can come together and discuss how equality can be given to women as well. And they also have the goal, to bring equality to women by 2030, which is one of the SDG sustainable goals. And because of this, they've, the United Nations have been, organizing various sessions, various conferences to see how this can be achieved by 2030. However, KAILASA has already made it happen. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has already made it happen. And all the policies, all the policies that KAILASA is implementing comes from the age-old scriptures of Hinduism. Yes, so for example, the Manu Dharma Shastra, which is the jurisprudence, the Hindu law book of Hinduism and the Hindu law book of KAILASA, it states how women should have equal participation and should be able to express their ideas in parliaments. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving all the policies in ancient time that we used to have and implementing them in Kailasa. And as well, Kailasa empowers women to raise into leadership positions. Even in Kailasa, the mental and psychological and physical health of women are considered to be of utmost importance, taking precedence over all other national budgets. And as part of Kailasa's policies, which is determined by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, women are also granted time off during their monthly cycle to allow their bodies to readjust and prepare for the potential procreation. So this is actually a first. Kailasa is the first country to have who have granted women time off during their monthly cycle. Yes. So, yes. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been reviving for the last 27 years. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been reviving the ancient enlightenment science of Hinduism, including Vedic feminism, including its matrilineal society that we used to have. And Hinduism, as you already know now, you may already know now, Hinduism used to be practiced in more than 56 Hindu nations, more than 2,000 years ago. And Hinduism is a rich and diverse tradition that has a long history of empowering women. So wherever Hinduism was practiced authentically, these states, these countries set in place policies that really empowered women and put women in leadership positions, which ensured the success of their country, of their states. And yes. So, and also, the idea of Parashakti, the supreme feminine power, is unique to Hinduism. It highlights the importance of the feminine in Hinduism and the role women play in maintaining the balance of the universe. And actually, as the source of sound and energy in the universe, Parashakti embodies the ultimate power. So a co-indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism that is being revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the sovereign land of Kailasa is mother worship and the matrilineal society. Kailasa is the only country, it is the only nation that has the matrilineal society, and that used to exist also in the ancient Hindu nations. And and in fact, as you may already know, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself was initiated into the universal mother worship or the Shakta tradition. And, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says, from the time that he knows himself, he worships Devi, and that fundamentally he is a Shakta. All his behavior, thought current, day-to-day lifestyle, everything is more Shakta-centric, because fundamentally, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says he is a mother worshipper, Shakta. Yes. And also the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and the groundedness to hold an ecosystem or a family or a team or a community together. And women have their own intuitive intelligence in the field of keeping something very stable and keeping it together and making it functional. So Hinduism actually creates an ecosystem for every woman to manifest that possibility, that power. And that was one of the message, that was what was shared to all the countries in this convention, how Kailasa is reviving and implementing ancient policies that empowers women, that creates the safest ecosystem for women to rise into leadership positions and occupy have equal opportunity and unique opportunities in decision-making processes in parliaments. So also the ancient scriptures of Hinduism also constitutionally empowers women to participate and assert their views in legislative chambers. And when this used to be the case in the ancient Hindu in the 56 ancient Hindu nations, so where women played a major role in the country being economic, cultural, intellectual powerhouses. So that accounted to the success of the ancient time and to more than 40% of the world's GDP being contributed by these Hindu nations. So, but unfortunately also the Hindu civilization for the last 2000 years, especially in the last millennia, has gone through a massive Hindu Holocaust, which also took the lives of more than 400 million Hindus. There was the enlightenment ecosystem of Hinduism, centered around temples, the sacred spaces of our indigenous worship places, educational places. They were all destroyed, and these ecosystems, these temples, the educational infrastructures, they gave equal opportunity for women as well to participate, to benefit from. So like that, also the knowledge-based centers of Hinduism that were all inclusive, they were all destroyed by the various invaders. And Hinduism as well lost many powerful Hindu women. See, Hinduism has a long history of millions of powerful Hindu women. For example, Ahilyabai, a young widow, built cities that till date are civic marvels. And of course, the Jhansi Ki Rani, he's considered as as an inspiration for millions of women and girls, for her bravery, for fighting for her bravery, for fighting for the for her country. So because of this persecution, the ethnocide and genocide that Hinduism has seen in the past 2000 years, we've lost a lot of powerful Hindu women. And these Hindu women, they were actually kept as sex slaves, and by the invaders, and even the queens, to avoid being kept as sex slaves, they were actually forced to self-immolate to themselves. But unfortunately, this did not stop the same treatment for the other millions of women who were tortured and raped by the invaders. And as well, the scriptures of Hinduism empowers women economically as well. The women used to have what is called the Stridan and inheritance rights, but because of the colonial rule of the this actually disenfranchised women from their property rights and from their inheritance rights. And actually, as per the Hindu law, snatching a woman's right is especially exclusive wealth was considered to be a great crime. So Gender equality was guaranteed as per Hindu law, especially in matters of inheritance, succession, and property rights. And it was also not uncommon for kings to choose their female offsprings as successors. And the colonial laws that have been left in place continued unaltered for a long time, and banning the worship of the divine feminine consciousness as well. And many traditions that were led by women, such as the Rudrakanya Sampradaya, the Devadasi, they they also have become extinct, which now the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving. But in the colonial times, these powerful women, Rudrakanyas, were very powerful Hindu women who dedicated their entire life to the worship of Paramashiva, but also to the um, um, they contributed greatly to people, to the community, to humanity, especially in terms of crisis. They used to be versed experts in all the 64 arts, and they used to be doctors, administrators, and so they were very powerful, educated women. But unfortunately, the Rudrakanyas and the Devadasis, they were all branded as prostitutes. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving these powerful women-led sampradayas, giving women empowering women to be leaders of the society, to be to be able to contribute to the society, share their ideas, voice out, without any objectification, without any persecution or anything. And because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been empowering women, has revived the ancient traditions of Hinduism. Of course, he's reviving the enlightened Hindu civilization to its full glory, including all its 10,000 traditions, including the traditions that are led by women. And because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is empowering women, he also, is being persecuted. Yes, so the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has actually broken all the social barriers when he revived the authentic Vedic agamic rights of the Hindu women, as declared and recorded in the Hindu scriptures. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, initiated women into sannyas, into monkhood, and also elevated them to the ranks equivalent to bishops and archbishops, and giving them voting rights. And this is, in modern times, in the contemporary times, this is a first where, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the only one initiating women into sannyas, into temple priest, and also giving them voting rights, right? So immediately after doing this, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was persecuted, was shamed, objectified, and even banned from preaching. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism of the 2 billion Hindu diaspora worldwide, he was banned from his right of preaching, of sharing the Hindu teachings. And even the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revived the Yogini Sarvanyapita, and even this, which is actually also the only female university, only Hindu university that is exclusively for women. And even the female administrators of this university, such as Ma Nithyanandita, Ma Tadvapriya, Ma Pranapriya, Ma Jyotika Swami, Ma Tadvapriya, they were tortured, objectified, and subjected to ruthless lawfare, and even illegally imprisoned. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says that the women of Kailasa, all the sufferings for all the voices, the women of Kailasa are the voices for all the sufferings of all the Hindu women, and generations before them. All the Hindu women who have undergone torture, rape, murder, in the past centuries, and even now, the Hindu women who are not able to express their full divinity, who are persecuted, who are not able to voice out, to become leaders, being innately born, to be able to lead a community. They are not able to do that without, any objectification, without any persecution against them. So the women of Kailasa are the voices for all these women. And this is why on this day, on February 22nd, Kailasa sent a huge representation of its women to this conference, where the message of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was presented on how Kailasa is empowering women, how Kailasa is implementing the age-old sciences policies of based on the Vedas and Agamas that were implemented by the 56 Hindu nations, which were very successful, and how Kailasa is reviving the same policies and implementing them, and the success that Kailasa has seen due to its policy of empowering women and putting them in leadership positions and putting them in the governance of Kailasa. So Kailasa has had a huge success. For example, if we look at the various sustainable development goals, such as sustainable development goal of zero hunger, which the United Nations is trying to achieve, by 2030, how we can make sure that there's zero hunger, in the world by 2030. See, the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations of Kailasa. So the United States of Kailasa, through its Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations initiatives, has already implemented successful measures where Kailasa is able to feed the hungry 24/7 without running out of any food. So you might have seen how every single day Kailasa is giving free organic food to millions of people across the globe. So like this, Kailasa has implemented various policies that are addressing all the issues that the world is facing today, and for which the various countries, the statesmen, are trying to find a solution to it. And Kailasa already has the solution, and already is implementing all these policies from the Hindu scriptures, from the constitution of Kailasa. So, and Kailasa has been very successful, and now is sharing all these all the success to the various statesmen across the globe. So yes, so so at the convention, so the representatives of KAILASA uh, made it made it into a momentous event, for the promotion of the Hindu feminism that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving. A philosophy that is grounded in Hinduism's unique veneration of Parashakti, the supreme feminine consciousness. Yes. So yes, so February 22nd was a momentous occasion for for the promotion of Hindu feminism, and so this philosophy demonstrated at the United Nations the high regard and status that are accorded to women in Hinduism, and in the light of the alarming statistics surrounding the gender-based violence and discrimination, it is imperative to preserve true empowerment, protection, and quality of life for women globally for generations to come. And to achieve this, it is essential to revive the enlightened Hindu civilization of Kailasa, and also to hold accountable to all those who persecute the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa and stop their actions. Because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is being persecuted just for empowering women and reviving the Hindu civilization. So this message was was shared to the various dignitaries at the at the convention, and it was very well received, and we Kailasa had the opportunity to convey to the various countries the policies that Kailasa is implementing that has made Kailasa successful in being able to empower women into leaderships and into leadership positions, and as well as in being members of the governance of Kailasa. So with this, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be sharing about this experience, and thank you.